What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your daily news report and economic update for Friday, November 4th. So we have just 4 days before the midterm election, but we got a lot of stuff to get to for today. We're going to talk about some crazy things like the jobs report that came out just this morning. We're going to talk about the final oil sale from our Strategic Petroleum Reserve. We're going to talk about utility bill assistance and the $4.5 billion that is coming from the United States government. And we're going to address student debt and the potential that there's 16 million checks going out to the American people very soon, and potentially the end of this week. So we will address all that in today's video. All I ask is if you can spend just 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button, click the subscribe button, and let's begin. So let's start off with the jobs report that came out this morning. Now this is actually pretty big news. The unemployment rose by 0.2%. It went from 3.5% up to 3.7%. That is actually good news. That's good news for the Federal Reserve. However, let's talk about labor force participation. This went down to 62.2%. Again, this is exactly what the Federal Reserve wants to see because they are trying to slow down the economy. They're trying to keep inflation under control. Now, let's talk about the amount of jobs that we actually saw in October. We were expecting to see 193,000 jobs for the month of October. However, this came in much hotter than expected at 261,000 jobs that were added. Monthly job growth have averaged about 407,000 for 2022, which is actually down from 562,000 in 2021. That is good news that we are seeing less job growth. The problem is it is still extremely slow. The Federal Reserve wants this to speed up so that inflation comes down much quicker. But again, it's just so slow. Now let's actually dive into the report a little bit. Where do we see these job increases? Well, the largest sectors to increase jobs came in healthcare, professional services, and manufacturing. Healthcare rose by 53,000 jobs. Professional and technical services rose by 43,000 jobs, and manufacturing added 32,000 jobs for the month of October. Now, another major blow to the Federal Reserve is that, in their likelihood of raising rates, is the fact that the average hourly earnings rose again by 0.4% month over month. Actually rose by 12 cents. Now, that is 4.8% annualized, which is not good because it still puts more upward pressure on inflation. Understand, inflation's over 8%. The problem is 4.8% is much higher than the 2% that the Federal Reserve wants to remain at. That's the issue. And then if you look at the average work week, this remained at 34.5 hours per week. This is what it has been for the 5th consecutive month. So it's big news there because this jobs report is simply telling us we are slowing down. However, we are not slowing down as quickly as the Federal Reserve would like, which most likely will mean we will see interest rates continue and we will still have additional tightening. So as soon as we get more information on what's going on there, I promise I will fill you in on that news as soon as we get it. And another big thing that happened this week as well, again, this is major, and I say this is major simply because this is something that we've been expecting, but the United States has sold its final batch of oil from our Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Now, why is this so important? This is so important because now our Strategic Petroleum Reserve is not getting smaller. We are at the lowest level we've been since like 1984 or 74 or somewhere around there. It's been decades. Okay? But here's the next thing. The next phase for the Biden administration is to refill the stockpile that, again, is at its lowest level in decades. President Biden stated that his plan is to refill the reserve with barrels of oil right around $70. Here's the issue with that. Current benchmark as of today is $92. We are $22 away from what President Biden is even going to be able to get the oil for, or wants to get the oil for. We're a long ways away from that $70 per barrel. And so that's crazy to think that we are going to refill our strategic petroleum reserve when oil's at $90 plus. It's just not going to happen. But what's even crazier than waiting for oil to drop to $70 is that on October 19th, President Biden made a statement, which I thought was odd. The timing of this made sense because obviously election day is on November 8th. But President Biden stated that the U.S. will need to be ready to tap the Strategic Petroleum Reserve again early next year in order to help rein in prices. Honestly, if we are going to try to tap the Strategic Petroleum Reserve again, and it's going to go lower and lower, we're going to be at record lows. The issue there is we could be susceptible to other issues down the line, especially if we were to go into war. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But again, as soon as I know more information on this, I promise I will fill you in on these updates in this news as soon as we get it. Now let's talk about how you can apply for home heating assistance. A lot of people have been asking because just this week, the Biden administration, they said that they're going to be distributing $4.5 billion to help families with home heating costs. That's good news. But they didn't say how you can go and apply. Well, here's what we know. This money is going to be put into the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program this winter. The goal here is to help low-income families pay their energy and utility bills. Well, or in some cases, this is going to help cover the cost of weatherization and repairs for your home as well. So that's good news there. And according to the Biden administration, the funds will be distributed to the states and territories this week. But how do you apply? Well, in order to apply, again, this is the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, also called LIHEAP. Now, in order to apply, you need to apply through the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Now, I'm going to provide a link down in the description box below. You can go and check it out. But you can also type in LIHEAP Clearinghouse on Google. It's going to look like this. This is what it looks like. Okay? Sorry I cut this off, but you get the idea. You can come in here and you can click on any of the states. Okay? Any of the states you can click on. Now, what it's going to do, it's going to give you the information as to where you call or where you can go and apply for these funds. Now, here's my piece of advice for you guys. I recommend you apply as soon as possible because these funds are not going to be replenished and they're likely to go fast. Okay? These are likely to go fast. So, again, this is being distributed to every single state. So, go and apply as quickly as possible to make sure you get some of this relief. And the last thing we need to discuss is the student debt relief. We know this has been a big thing to many Americans. They're saying, I'm going to get $10,000. Yes, I'm going to get this relief. That is great. I am excited for the people that will get this. But here's what you need to know. President Biden said yesterday, on Thursday, that the 16 million Americans that applied for student loan debt relief will be approved by the end of this week. Will be. He said by the end of this week, 16 million people will have completed the final step and checks can be issued. That's pretty good, the final step. However, he also stated that this entire program is on hold because of legal challenges. Now, here's what I can tell you. This is being held up, yes. Now, what is the legal challenge? Again, I want to clear this up. The legal challenges are not about the student debt itself, okay? It's about the legality of a president, not just President Biden, because before, when former President Donald Trump brought this up, okay, when this was being considered, he was told The president does not have the authority, the legal authority, to forgive student loan debt without the prior approval of Congress. Not only that, but Republicans are arguing that President Biden doesn't have the legal authority to forgive more than $1.5 trillion in debt without the prior approval of Congress. This is what Congress is there for. We cannot just have a president, no matter what the president is, who he is, right, what party he's affiliated with. The president cannot bystep Congress because that is an issue. We will easily go into debt, or we will see social programs just completely get obliterated simply because the president is making the calls. One person is making the calls. It's not something that we need to go down that road with. And again, if this happens now, what's going to happen next? Because I can guarantee you, based off what I've read, based off the research that I have done, this is only going to escalate the situation. But President Biden said this, and I quote, "My plan's going to make a real difference, lowering the monthly cost for families." It is. This is going to help. This is going to lower the cost for American families. American families will be paying much less per month once this debt has been wiped away. But this also puts more upward pressure on inflation. Probably think, well, why? Why would this put more pressure on inflation? Well, here's why. Experts believe that this will be a very tough move for our economy, simply due to the fact that borrowers have not made a student loan payment for more than 2 years. As a result, this isn't lowering the cost to those people, but instead it's removing the upcoming burden that would restart on January 1st, 2023. That is, the student loan payment pause would expire. That means student loan payments would have to be restarted, which also means interest would be accrued. There's a lot of issues here. But just understand, the good news is that we are potentially going to get more answers very soon. But the problem is we got to get through the midterm elections. That's it. We got 4 days. We're going to have a bunch of answers coming up, especially to start next week. I promise I will be here every step of the way, fill you in on what's going on, the big news, the crazy news, and everything in between. All I ask is if you can go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an update, and I'll see you guys on the next one.